You ever wake up to a nightmare so ridiculous you almost have to laugh? That's how my Thursday started, with the sound of a woman shrieking from the shoreline at 600 in the morning. "Where's my boathouse?" Except here's the twist. She wasn't talking about her boathouse, she was talking about mine. And the real kicker, she'd moved in with furniture while I was out of town for work. You think I'm making this up, but I'm dead serious. When I kicked her out, she called the cops claiming I'd assaulted her. And to top it all off, she gave me 72 hours to demolish the same boathouse my grandfather built in 1952. But you know what they say about HOA rules? They stop at the water's edge. And me, let's just say I found a way to put a whole lot of distance between myself and the HOA queen from hell. Looking back, maybe I should have seen it coming the minute Carol became president of the HOA. But when you're grieving and barely keeping your head above water, you don't always see the shark circling, you know what I mean? It started slow emails at first, nasty little notes about my paint color not matching guideline 3.2. Never mind that Boathouse had been that faded blue since my granddad's day. Then noise complaints even though I wasn't home half the time. I work as a marine engineer fixing boats all day and my hours are all over the map. Third email, that's when it clicked. She'd come onto my property to measure the distance from my boathouse to the shore. 14.7 feet. Regulation was 15. So I put up cameras, 4 of them. My neighbor suggested that he'd had his own run-in with Carol over garden gnomes of all things. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was defending a boathouse from an HOA president, and 3 years ago I couldn't even protect my wife Claire from cancer. That place on the water was all I had left of her. It was a Tuesday when Carol showed up in person. I was fixing a board when I heard her car door slam. She didn't walk like a neighbor. She strutted clipboard and tape measure swinging like she was about to draw down on a suspect. Stopped at my property line and started snapping photos like she was collecting evidence for a crime. "This view," she said into her phone, "belongs to someone who knows how to use it." Probably talking to one of her bored cronies. I kept my cool. "Can I help you, Carol?" She looked at me like I'd interrupted the State of the Union. "Official HOA business. All waterfront structures need to be registered with the new guidelines." I showed her my deed. Grandfathered in. Built in 52. She squinted, annoyed. "Things changed," she said, and marched off with a final threat. I'd be getting an official request and I'd better comply, or else. That evening, she posted every photo she took, blasting me on the community page. "This dangerous structure is destroying your property values. As your president, I promised to clean up the waterfront." Some neighbors defended me, sure reminded folks about my granddad and Claire's Sunday paintings. But others, the Carol fan club, started talking about action. Then Carol herself announced a meeting about waterfront improvements. Should have paid more attention. But I was distracted by memories of Claire, and I almost missed Carol's car rolling past that night, stopping to peek in my mailbox, probably checking my work schedule I'd left on the dash. So I'm off in Portland for a 3-day marine survey, thinking it's routine. Money's good and property taxes were coming due. What I didn't know was Carol had been tracking my schedule for weeks, waiting for her shot. While I was gone, she made her move. When I got home, Friday evening sunset already painting the lake gold. Something was off. New padlock on the boathouse, not mine. My hands shook as I pulled up the security footage. There she was in broad daylight, bolt cutters in hand, marching right in. She came back and forth with furniture, setting up her own little lakeside B-class and B. What the cameras didn't show, I heard from neighbors. She gave tours, picked out curtains, even set up a membership club. 23 people signed up for weekends at Carol's waterfront venue. You can't make this stuff up. So I cut her lock, walked in, and the smell of vanilla air freshener almost knocked me over. Everything was rearranged. My grandfather's workbench pushed aside a full living room, set up a mini fridge humming in the corner. But what broke me was Claire's wedding photo tossed in the trash, banana peel and all. That was it for me. I hauled every last piece of Carol's furniture out onto the grass, not gentle but not smashing either. Just reclaiming my space. As I'm dragging out a couch, Carol rolls up flanked by 2 HOA board members, phone out, recording everything. "Look at this. He's destroying my property." She's crying, wailing for the camera. Board members snapping pictures. I told them, "Get off my property, all of you." Carol Crocodile, tears drying up in a heartbeat, smirks and says, "I'm the HOA president. I have every right to inspect and improve community spaces. I said, "This isn't a community space. This is private property, and you know it." She kept circling, recording, making sure to get every angle for her followers. Within minutes, she'd called 911, the performance of the year. "He's attacking me, destroying my property. Please send help." You could hear her give my address clear as a bell. When the cops arrived 2 cruisers deep, Carol sprinted to them like she'd survived a mugging. "Officers, thank God." This man broke into my installation. The senior officer, a woman who looked like she'd seen it all, separated us. I stayed calm, showed the security footage, pulled up the deed, building permits, everything. Carol in the background shouting about her authority. After a short conference, the officers came back with the verdict. "This is your property, sir. Miss Patterson did not have permission. She's trespassing, and you'd be within your rights to press charges." Carol's mouth dropped open. "But I'm the HOA president. I filed permits." "Officer wasn't having it, ma'am. You have 10 minutes to remove your belongings from his yard, or you'll be arrested for trespassing." Watching Carol scramble, live streaming the whole humiliation should have felt like victory. But I knew this wasn't the end. That night, she held an emergency HOA meeting at her house. Slideshows, fake inspection reports, altered photos showing my boathouse as a dangerous structure. She played every angle: legal costs, property values, fear-mongering about accidents. By morning, there was a red demolition notice taped to my door, 72 hours to demolish my grandfather's boathouse. Carol was out front, phone up, smiling for her audience. "Demolition crews coming Monday at 6:00 a.m. Progress demands sacrifice." I was stunned. How could anyone push through a demo order that fast? But my lawyer said the same thing as City Hall. "HOA matters are civil. We can try for an injunction Monday, but it'll be tight." And Carol was already at the city offices, buttering up staff, thick folder in hand. I was desperate. Saturday, I caught Carol's hired photographer snapping evidence, moving loose boards, making it look worse. Sunday, I sat in the boathouse, reading through Claire's old journal, trying not to lose hope. Then I found it, her note. "If choosing between memories and the present, choose memories. The water never leaves, it just changes form." That's when it clicked. Maritime law. The lake was federal water connected to the river system. My granddad's boathouse was built on a floating foundation chained to the land, technically a vessel if set afloat. If I got it off the shore, Carol and her demolition crew would have no power over me. So I called in Favors Mike from the Marina, Tommy from Salvage Sarah with the crane. We worked through the night, reinforcing barrels, sealing lines, adding flotation. The last thing anchoring us were 3 old iron chains. We tried cutting, but one wouldn't budge. Mike, genius that he is, said, "Let's use the crane. Snap it." It was risky, but with 15 minutes to spare, we went for it. Sarah engaged the hydraulics. The chain groaned, then snapped with a thunderous crack. The boathouse lurched, then began to drift slow but steady out onto open water. At 6:00 a.m., demolition crew rolling up Carol in her pajamas. The boathouse was 20 feet offshore, officially in federal jurisdiction. Carol lost it. "Where's my boathouse? Where's my boathouse?" She screamed, phone in hand, as the crew foreman told her, "We can't demolish what's not there, and that's federal water, ma'am." She raged, while her supporters started to snicker, a slow clap breaking out behind her. I gave her a wave, the same way she'd smiled at City Hall. The sunrise lit up the lake just like Claire's painting, and for the first time in months I felt peace. Of course, Carol wasn't done. Within days, Marine Patrol came out. Someone kept reporting an illegal structure. I had all my documents ready: emergency vessel registration, Coast Guard paperwork. "You're good," the officer said, almost admiring the setup. He even warned that filing false complaints was a misdemeanor. Might want to pass that along to your neighbor. That night, Carol's live-streamed meltdown went viral. She called me a thief for stealing her furniture. The internet roasted her folks, dug up her own streams, caught her admitting she'd planned to get that boathouse once she became president. By morning, her name was a hashtag, and the whole neighborhood knew the truth. Next, I got a call from her lawyer threatening theft charges if I didn't return her $50,000 worth of furniture. I just laughed, told him everything was safe, happy to arrange a return. What he didn't know was I documented everything: the break-in, the furniture haul, the fake evidence. When the 3-way video call came, I played every clip, every email, every damning moment. Her own words. "Once I'm HOA president, that boathouse is first on my list." Her lawyer's face went pale. My demands were simple. Carol resigns, apologizes publicly, never contacts me again, and moves out. 72 hours to decide. Sound familiar? She quit. Live streamed her apology. The whole neighborhood watched, and soon a for sale sign went up in her yard. The HOA filed suit against her for the demolition mess. Neighbors started a class action over her harassment. And by month's end, the couple who bought her house put out garden gnomes in the yard. Poetic justice. I moved the boathouse back to shore 2 weeks later, and the neighborhood voted to protect it as a historic structure. As I sat on the deck, Claire's photo beside me, sunset burning gold across the lake, I realized sometimes you've got to fight like hell to keep what matters, even if it means outsmarting an entire HOA. Justice for once felt served. But let me ask you, do you think I went too far, or did Carol get what she deserved? Let's hear your take on justice, HOA power, and crazy neighborhood drama down in the comments. And if you ever need to sail away from your problems now, you know how it's done.